Hey everyone, welcome back. Icon here. Thanks for checking out another Scrim analysis. Today, we're hopping on board with Scump as they're playing the Toronto Ultra again. I know that I just uploaded one of these videos yesterday, but I feel like I've waited so long to see what Toronto has to offer that I just wanted to break down a couple of their matches in a row. So on this one, we're on the map Azhir Cave, and if you're paying attention to spawns at the beginning here, Chicago got the spawn that you don't want to have heading into not only this first hardpoint, but the second hardpoint. First hardpoint is usually just contested time. As it rotates back to the second hardpoint, that's where spawning out here can really hurt you, because the team that has spawns for that second hardpoint is probably going to end up getting, if not all of that time, the vast majority of it. So they could easily get 40, 50 seconds of that second hardpoint. So right now, as you're watching on screen, what Chicago's trying to do is they're trying to flank around and flip this spawn so that they can get positioning for that second hardpoint. With that being said, let me go ahead and let me show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So just real quick, as we bring up the map breakdown, there are two spawns here. Obviously, there's a good spawn, which is back here in this corner. There's a bad spawn, which is on the opposite side of the map. So if you have the good spawn, which Toronto has in this scenario, normally you want to send a couple people up through mid so that they can contest that time. You don't want to give up all of that time, but you do want to contest. But the time is not what's important in terms of you stacking up points. What is important is watching the flanks. So normally one or two people, one solid AR can hold down this left side, whether it's from the fifth hardpoint or you push up into top stone, but somebody has to watch that left side. And then from there, you're also going to have somebody normally over here in cave watching the left flank route and the right flank route. So wherever you want to send that fifth person is usually just whoever ends up going down, or wherever you need help. That person could even be right here, so that if somebody dies in cave, that person could then rotate over into cave. But essentially what you're watching right now is you are watching Chicago try to flip this. So if we talk about what Chicago's doing, again, you want to send a couple people up into the first hard point so that they can contest that time. Then from there, what you've seen Scump and some other people do at the beginning here is push through third, and they're trying to push out this right flank. So you saw Scump get one or two kills up here at top stone. Then once he killed this person that was here, he went into yellow before he finally went into cave and then died. So kind of a weird little path there that Scump took, but you're trying to either push out the right flank over towards top stone, or you're trying to push through and get through cave and get behind. Either way, it doesn't matter which way you come through. If you push through cave and you flank around, now you can overtake the spawn this way. Or if you push through over by top stone, you can flank around and then push out the spawn that way. Now, most of the time, this usually doesn't end up happening. This is a really hard spawn to break. So let's go ahead. Let's just watch this. We'll let the film roll. We'll see what ends up happening here. Now, as we hop back on board with Seth here, you'll see that they are getting this cave spawn. Now, I don't really agree with them sending 3 through middle. I'm not sure. If you're spawning in cave like that, it's probably best to just throw a smoke over that cross, push into hill, try to push Toronto back a little bit. And then if you can push back into Toronto spawn, that's a way that you could flip. But it seems to me like sending 3 people through mid-map just isn't going to be very successful. But with that being said, they were able to kill out a little bit. They were able to slay out a little bit. So they are pushed up into hill. And the good thing is that on that beginning hill, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner that they did build up a 10-point lead. So obviously that's not going to be the difference between winning and losing a game. But since they were able to build up that lead, now if you give up the last 30 seconds, like right here, it looks like they're going to give up the last 25, 30 seconds or so. That's not so much of a disaster, just because in terms of the plus minus, if you had a plus 10 going into the second hill and you give up the last 30, that's only a minus 20 when you come out of that second hill. So even though they're going to be down, but since they didn't have spawns, this really isn't going to hurt them all that much. Now, as we rotate from the second to the third hill, what Chicago's going to want to do right now is push up into those cuts and try to not allow Toronto out of that cave. Let me show you real quick what I'm talking about. So as we go ahead and break that down, Toronto was just back here at number 2. And then as this rotates to number 3, if you're Chicago, what you want to do is you want to have somebody top yellow, probably somebody mid-map at a head glitch around here. You want to have somebody top stone, and then of course you want to have somebody in hill. Wherever that fifth person is, they can just kind of fill in. But essentially what you don't want somebody to do is you don't want them to be able to leak out of 2 and head over towards 3. What a lot of teams will try to do is leak through this mid-cut area, or they'll try to push through 4 and flip spawns, because if you can flip spawns, then you can have the beneficial spawn going into 4. Now, whether or not that's the beneficial side has been debated a little bit recently. So it just depends on what each team's individual strategy is. But if you're Chicago, what you're trying to do right here is not allow Toronto out of the cave. However, it looks like a few went down and they weren't very successful with that. So let's go ahead, hop back into the gameplay, see what happens. All right, so as we're in here, it does look like Chicago's trying to push out a little bit. Arcides and Envoy both got kills. Seth got flanked from behind there, probably from Silo. That would be my guess, is that person snuck through mid-map back to Silo. But with 30 seconds, it looks like they're getting some decent time here. So they've already got a 15-point lead, and then now they're just trying to build on that. So they'll probably get the last 24 seconds here. It does look like somebody's about to contest. Cammy was over there. So as this is about to rotate to the 4th hill, they're probably going to have somewhere around a 20-point lead as they go into that. Now, it looks like that they're taking the approach from this mid-map area. So for 4th, now either one of these, there are really nice head glitches, and there's a really nice setup for either side of this. Sometimes it seems like you're probably spawning a little bit closer if you have the opposite spawn. So if you're spawning outside of the cave on the left side here rather than inside of the cave on the right side of the hardpoint. But this is just all personal preference. This is one of those hills where there's a hill like this. Number 3 on Gunrunner is also like this, where it doesn't really matter what side you're coming from as long as you can capture the hill and then push out into the chokes a little bit. So that's kind of the only issue that Chicago has right now, is that they do have hill control, but they have nobody pushed up into that head glitch. So where Scump died from right there, you would ideally like to have somebody pushed up to right there so that you could kill Toronto as they're flooding into the hill. But that didn't happen. So as we rotate here with about 13 seconds left, this is a critical hill. Whoever wins this hill could easily push this game out. So if Chicago's up by 50 right now, if they capture this hill and control it, they could easily push this game out to 110, and it would pretty much be over. Now, on the flip side, if you are Toronto, capturing this hill and getting the majority of this time could go ahead and get you right back into this game. The 5th hill here is one of the most critical when it comes to the individual locations on this map. It does look like Chicago has time currently, but there's nobody really pushed out. That was a nice kill from Scump. There is someone coming from mid-cave. Now, that's where Chicago's spawning from, so that should be a pretty easy cut. What is hard to lock down if you're not over there is the opposite side coming from top stone. So from here, it looks like the rest of this time, there's 20-some seconds left. This will probably end up being contested. Now, as we fast forward towards the second round here, remember, you want to have this spawn for that second hill as well. So that's what Chicago's doing at the moment, is that Seth is really paying attention to what's going on in cave over here, and that's a big kill. So I don't really like that person, that Cammy, was still in the same spot that he was before. Normally, you want to go ahead and switch up your rotations or push forward a little bit further, but if you're just standing exactly where you were before, that's something that's predictable, especially for this pros that have played this map hundreds and hundreds of times. But it does look like as we go through the second set of rotations, Chicago is going to be able to hold down spawns, and they'll probably have this as it rotates to that second hill. This is normally the point in time in the video where I let you guys go ahead and listen into some communications in terms of what Chicago is talking about here. So with that, let's go ahead, let's listen into communications and see what they're talking about as we head through the second set of rotations towards the second hill.
Stop bed, 3-3. Another one there.
He's close left.
One down.
I'm dead. More cave. Feet on weak.
Good jump.
There's a lot cave.
Just a quick update. It seems like Toronto has went and
They couldn't have gone 5th, right, Seth?
it looks like all of their resources are devoted towards trying to flip spawns here. So this is kind of exactly what you can't have happen. You still have to have people contesting that middle hill, because if you don't flip spawns, then not only are you not flipping spawns, but you gave up 30-40 seconds on that mid hill, and now all of a sudden after that 5th hill and the first hill, now this lead is over 100 points and they have spawns. I would guess that the majority of these last 30 seconds are going to go towards Chicago. So kind of a little bit of an error there from Toronto strategy-wise.
Gonna be yellow now.
One more front, one shot middle. Nice.
Nice kills there by Arcides, Formal, Gunless.
One's gonna be front, bro.
You went below yellow. Oh shit.
You can leave time to go help him yellow.
Another one more underpass.
I can't go.
Sitting on one short.
Underpass, Looney.
It's okay.
Make sure
Keep it in
we
trap.
have still 10 seconds. We can try to push your
Front
ult.
dead or no?
Looney,
Oh,
Looney,
yeah,
I'm coming to you, Chris.
Front
Okay.
old.
Wait, Looney just killed me.
I'm waiting.
Got him. My bad.
You're my top's down right now.
One's front short.
One's top's down, I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna help you with this guy, Cave.
Top 7, 1 bullet, Zenny.
All right, so as we're rotating here to the third hill, if you're Chicago, you probably don't have the map position that you want. The first time through, we talked about how you want to get these cuts. So if you're the team that controls the third hill, you want to get these cuts as the team that controlled the second hill runs out through those cuts. So Toronto's doing a really nice job. You'll see Seth died a couple times there trying to get out of cave. So we'll just see, again, if they lose the majority of this points, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. But you do want to start with 30 seconds here. You want to start setting up towards that fourth hill. This is a nice, so that would have been a nice pinch there from Seth. If somebody had smoke, it probably would have been beneficial to smoke off that mid-cut so that you could perform that pinch, but that didn't happen, and it looks like this isn't really going to hurt them too much anyways.
I'm dead.
One shot. Bridge, Nick.
I'm gonna help you from. These guys rotate to this shit. They'll hold it.
He hit it.
They don't pinch much.
They be down. I'm just holding be down. Short's open.
I got
Holding
that.
him, holding
Fridge
him.
right now. Fridge.
I'm challenging. Get
Stunning
ready.
your short. Stun short.
Fridge absolute
Stun
camera.
now.
Grounded,
Go ahead.
grounded. Close,
Back
close,
right.
back.
Method dead.
Someone here, close on
One's
help.
deep.
Well done.
Four.
One's deep.
Yeah, there's two at the truck. Two at the truck.
As this rotates into the fourth hill here, this is a pretty even battle so far, trying to get control of this hill. It does look like Arcides went on a flank. He was able to get a two-piece.
Right side behind the box.
Formal and Gunless also picked up one apiece, so there should, theoretically, if 4 people went down, there should only be 1 left, but they weren't able to push out and take control of it. Ultimately, this probably won't matter too much. If you're Chicago, there's only 28 seconds left in the current hill, so you do want to start thinking about rotating to that 5th hard point. If you don't control the majority of this, that's fine. If you rotate to the 5th and you're set up in the cuts, then you're going to end up winning this map on that 5th hard point. So at this point in time, let it go, set up your cuts, play for winning the game on the 5th hard point.
I'll try to throw a trophy for you.
I have yellow.
You don't have one.
He's front of me. He's front of me.
Oh, there it is.
We have, dude, this is like the setup that fucking Florida had that spawned on the hill, bro.
I just lost composure.
Like,
Dead front.
Okay, whoever's in yellow, back up.
In blue. Blue hurt. They're gonna spawn front now. They're gonna spawn front.
That's a really nasty head glitch from Seth right there. The fact that he was able to just look around that broken wall to see who was coming into top yellow, I like that play a lot. That was a heady play from him.
I'm trying to get the
Got him
back.
front.
Oh my gosh.
Orange, you can flank that
I
side.
don't know.
They got me pinching.
Then
One in cave now.
Front now.
He's
front
close.
on Nenny.
Inner pass.
Weak.
Need about 13 seconds. I did see that they were pushing out over on the cliff's edge over there. It does look like they cleared out the hill. So with about 23 seconds left, I'm not sure Chicago's going to be able to win off of this hill. Maybe that was a clutch 2-piece there.
Front.
Trying to push up front here.
Big kill. I think that will probably do it. Arcides popped out, was able to finish that kill. And that is all she wrote. So as we go ahead and bring up the scoreboard here, that was a fairly decent round from Chicago there. Wasn't the most dominant thing that we've ever seen. It's not like they controlled every spawn and locked down every hill, but the ones where they had spawns, they were able to lock down those, like the second hill as it went through rotations. And then the ones where they didn't really have control of anything, they were able to fight over those and usually just split the time there. So as the scoreboard comes up, Gunless had 35, which led the way. Formal and Arcides both with 30, and nobody broke 30 from Toronto. So thank you guys again. I appreciate it so much. Those of you that are new, thank you for the new subs. I can't wait to break down the maps this weekend. So Friday is the very first matchup of the Minnesota LAN. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit subscribe. I'm going to be throwing out like 15, 20 videos that weekend alone. So I will be your headquarters for the Minnesota LAN. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't leave without leaving a like. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. We'll see you.